These are the brakes that I put on my 2017 Kia Forte. You can try what I'm doing, but I wouldn't, if you're not exactly sure what you're doing, go to a mechanic. You don't want to be driving down the road and having no brakes if you did something wrong. Okay, this is my 2017 Kia Forte. It's got a little over 50,000 kilometers, so front brakes are worn. And I've changed the right side already. This is the Forte EX. It's quite a nice little car, actually. I got it with the leather. Anyway, I got my 4,000 pound jack here. And jack stand, in case the jack fails. You don't want to be messing around with the car when the jack fails, or you'll be in real bad trouble. Anyway, I'm just going to take the car and jack it up a bit here. There's a little notch on the car here. I don't know if you can see it. Right there. There's a little ridge here. That's where the jack usually fits in. There's one here and one there. And the jack has these little things here that, fit that in there. And then you take the jack here. It's a 4,000 pound, 3-ton jack. It's 6,000 pounds. 2,000 pounds per ton, and you put that just a little way down. So I'm going to do that right now, and I've only eased off the pressure on the tire because some cars, this one actually you can raise it right up because I guess it's front wheel drive and that's why it's locked with the gears. So, but usually you leave the tire on the ground a tiny bit, take a lot of the pressure off, and then you can ease off on the nuts with I use one of these bars here. It's made in America. It's a good one. So actually right where this sticker is exactly where I have to use that end of the jack. So you just stick it in there. Okay, so that's not the right one. What the heck happened here? Whoops. Oh no, that's for the socket. That's right. Okay, so this one has one of these sockets like that, so you can put it on one of these things on your locking nuts, because some people actually do it for the whole tire, every locking nut. I met a guy who had somebody who tried to steal his tires and they left all the nuts off except for the locking one. So he got 4 more because his tire rims were ruined. I've eased off the tension on all those nuts. And when you get your tires changed on your car or whatever, tell the mechanic not to tighten them so tight that, say if you have a flat and you want to change it, it's really hard to take the nuts off. So now I got the jack and the jack stand holding the car up, so you want to be able to be safe. And now I got my little handy dandy tool here. I don't think I've ever used this thing before, but I thought, what the heck, you put it on here like this and you just put it in reverse. Reverse is on this side and forwards on the other side. Get the camera, blocking the camera here. Okay, so we're going to reverse it. You don't want to take the nuts off with this because you might snap a nut. It's a lot easier taking these off this way. Not much faster, but I mean, well, okay, it's quite a bit faster maybe. There we go. Whoop. Yeah, that one, and this one. It's actually not the nut for this one, but what the heck, it works. It's not on there very good anyway. So now, good idea is to keep all these nuts organized. Like, how about back in the box where you got the brakes there? This is a 9/16 socket. We're going to need that to take the caliper off. And these are some clips to hold the brakes on. And these are the new pads. They're quite thick. And as you can see, the old ones were quite a bit thinner. Look at the difference. You got almost nothing there. Just a little bit of metal, maybe 1/8 of an inch. And they have a squealer on these things. So, this is this metal thing right here. And this thing will squeal when the brake gets too low. Just makes a noise to let you know that maybe you should change the brakes. It's on the inside pad. Here it is, right here. This one right here. So when the brakes get low, it lets you know you've gotten too low. So that's quite a thickness compared to the old pads. Now, if you added some brake fluid to your car, well, when you reinstall these ones, you better empty some of the brake fluid out because it's going to make a mess. I haven't added any brake fluid, so. Anyway, so now we're going to take the tire off. And, oh, there's another nut. Put that one in the box. And that's what they look like right there. There's the rotor. It's like a big disc. And the calipers, they squeeze together through here. There's your fluid. Comes through this brake fluid. And wonderful world of hydraulics. It compresses these two pads together right in here. You can actually see how thick they are sometimes. Let's see. We'll bring my light here. See if you can see how thick they are. It's not as easy to see as some people say, but I mean, compared to the new ones, you can tell they're really thin. And I mean, normally you get about 30,000 miles out of a set of brake pads, unless you're jamming on the brakes all the time. But I have 55,000 kilometers times 0.6, so that's about 30,000. So I knew it was about time, and then I heard some squealing. I thought I did anyway. So you can see a little bit of the pad there. Not much. So they need replacing. So, well, I guess I'll leave this light on. So there's a nut right here. This one. And they're not on usually that tight. If they're on too tight, well, somebody was doing the wrong thing. There you go. See, it doesn't take much at all. And the other one down here. Where is it? Hello? Oh, a little farther. There we go. Yeah, came off pretty easy. You don't want to put them on too tight. Just snug them up good and tight, and then you just back these nuts off. They're both the same for the top and the bottom. Most stations will tell you they want to turn your rotors. Rotors used to cost a lot of money nowadays, and long ago. Nowadays they're about, the last time I bought a rotor was $50 or $55. The brake pads, don't skimp on the brake pads. Buy the best you can buy. These ones are Ray Bestos, and apparently they're top of the line. I got them on a bit of a discount because I know the people. So this thing just pulls right off. Yeah, I was pulling on the wrong part. Duh. These ones just slide off like this, and then you can see the caliper. The piston. This piston is going to be way down here. It's got to be flat. It's got to be. You got to compress it down. I usually use a C-clamp. Sometimes you need a really big C-clamp. Mine's just about not big enough. And those are the pads. Ooh, not very thick. You got to take these springs out. These come out. There's little holes in the brake pads, and those just I guess you just hold them in place a little better. and then you just pop them out. Okay, this is my C-clamp. I'm using the C-clamp to bring this piston's got to squeeze down because you'll never get the brake pads on there otherwise. And do not tear this boot. Years ago I had a Jaguar, an old Jaguar. It had disc brakes all around, of course. 65 Jag, really nice car. And I tore one of the boots. Well, then I had to take it all apart, put the boot back on, because otherwise fluid would come out of there. Because there's a little piston in here. And the 65 Jag had a dual piston, which is no good anymore. They got away from that. Single piston, that's the best method, because one piston would wear out sooner than the other. And I remember taking these apart and cleaning them up really good so they would both move the same time. So you don't want that. This is one piston and it pulls. And this clamp wasn't quite big enough, so I used my good old Irwin, and it's a little bigger. I got several of these for woodworking, and I tightened it up a bit with this so I could, just enough to get this C-clamp on. That's why they call it a C-clamp. It looks like a C. The caliper looks completely compressed. Now we're going to put the pads on. Hold on. The caliper off the side there. Don't want to break that hose. That's the brake fluid in that hose. So there's a couple of springs that came off in the pads. There's these little holes in the pads. Bring some light on the subject here. Okay. So it's a little hole right there. And these spring clips, you don't get new ones with the brakes, by the way. These spring clips go on either brake pad. There's just a rotor here right now. There's no brakes on here. And they go right into the pin there. Just to keep the brakes from scraping against the rotor. You'll see it when I put the new brake pads on. And most shops want to rotate this. They'll take this right out and put it on a lathe and sand it down. I just take some good rough sandpaper. This may be a 60 grit or something. And oh, this is 100 grit. And just roughen it up a bit to take a little bit of the shine off. Never had a problem with this. A fellow that worked in the Air Force years ago, he said the Second World War, the pilots would bring the planes in with holes right through the calipers because airplanes were one of the first to have disc brakes, because disc brakes make you stop straighter than drum brakes. It's a better system. And he said the brakes were still working with holes in them, with the calipers with the bullet holes in them. So yeah, you just have to roughen them up a bit and just take some of the glaze off. And when you put them back, now here's one pad, that's a big one. There's the other one. And then we have the clips, the top and the bottom. Here's the bottom one. Top one, they're both the same. They're exactly the same. They have these little clips, and you just put them in like this. It's like doing dental work here or something. Okay, not that tough. So, oh, I gotta take the old one out. That would help. Duh. Yeah, the old ones in. Some people leave the old ones in, but I prefer to take the old ones out. I wonder this one's not going in. I didn't take the old one out. Too busy filming here. Doing a shitty job of filming it like that. Okay, take this one out. There we go. It just fits right in there. And there's a little notch there where the brakes fit into. And like I said, they're both the same. It even has a little notch right there. You'll see the notch. And this notch fits right on that notch. It's not so good. No, it's very good actually. So this one's going to go on the same way. I had a bit of a problem putting them on with these clips. You got a little tension clip here and you got to push the pads on there. Now one pad is a little different than the other. You'll see 2 holes on this one and none on that one, just like the old one. The old one had 2 holes and the other side's just shiny metal. So, and the squealer, this is the squealer. The squealer, it's got to go really low before that thing will start squealing. But they work. They work. When they start squealing, you know you've got really low pads, really. So run down to your mechanic and get them done. Or if you want to try doing this yourself, you can do that. So they got to fit in here somehow, right into that little clip. Okay, this is the brake pad on. You'll notice right down here, I'll point this out, you put the bottom one on first, okay? In life you'll find everybody does something a little bit different. This is how Kia does it. It's a very good system. You put this one in first, this little spring clip here, you put this one in, and this holds it in. Then on the top, it doesn't have that tab, so you just push it in after. Just push it in real easy, and you'll have no problem. Just make sure you put the right brake on the right side. So this one here is the inside one. It has the squealer. Remember I said the squealer? There it is, right there. Here's the squealer, right there. So, same thing applies on this one. Don't get these pads dirty. If you get the pads dirty, it's not going to be good. Make sure you don't get any grease on the pads or the rotor. So this one's going to clip in first, and then the top one should go in real easy. Supposedly. Nobody said it's all that easy. Okay, a good thing to do also is to put this silicone brake caliper grease. And you put it right where these slide in, right here. Because they're going to go back and forth. One down here and one over here. And you can even put a little bit on this, so it'll slide better. Okay, we got the haven't got the caliper on yet. We got the brakes on, brake pads. They're looking sharp. There wasn't a little tab like this on the other side. I don't know why. That little metal tab that seems to hold the brake in. This one right here. This little guy. Where is he? Right there. Nothing on the other one. I have no idea why. But anyway, it was a lot easier putting this side in than on the other side for some reason. So it's harder to see the other side too. So these little springs, I'm trying to spring this thing together. There's one there, and they go right in these little holes here. Get in the hole. There it is. There. God. And then the other one goes on the other side here. So, there we go. So you got one spring here and one here. So these things are supposed to keep these brakes from rubbing against the calipers. Just kind of pulls them out a bit. Anyway, so now I'm going to put the caliper back on, and these things here are kind of on like a spring. Might have to push them in a bit. You can always lubricate these too. And but now I'm going to put a little bit of this Never Sees. It's just something that these 9/16 bolts go back in here. So I've never really had a problem over the years doing. My friend tells me it's a good idea to put this on, so I'm going to put them on and I'm going to put the caliper on. It's on right now, but it's not bolted on. You might have to push these in a bit. These little, they're kind of spring-loaded. The rubber boots here. It's hard to see it. So, right here. And one at the top. And there's your brake line bleeder. If you ever want to bleed your brakes, you back that off and, well, that's a whole new story. We're not going to get into that now. Oh, fell out. There you go. You gotta act quick here. So I just hand tightened those nuts, and now I'm just going to tighten them up a tiny bit. You can get a lot of leverage on one of these wrenches. This one's only about 8 inches long. You could snap nuts or bolts. This is a bolt. The nut's on the other end if you have a nut. Maybe I'm the nut, I don't know. Anyway, you don't have to tighten it up ridiculously tight. They weren't on ridiculously tight when I did it. So. This one's gonna go a little bit too. Okay. There we go. Yep, there you go. That's all you need. So there you go. You saved yourself $150. Whoop-de-doo. That's Canadian, so American. But you never know. You take it to some mechanics are not on the up and up. I happen to know a really good mechanic not too far from my home, and he's very honest. And I do take it to him for oil changes because I stopped doing that long ago. So, yeah. That's about it. I'm just going to put the tire back on and put the nuts back on, and I might keep these old clips for something. Who knows? But yeah, you just test it out after and see how it is. There's no fluid on the ground here. It was raining out here today a bit, so I got to use my friend's carport. It's not too cold out. And, yeah, I want to rub some more sandpaper on this. This is metal sandpaper, it's not wood sandpaper. It's metal. Anyway, that's about it. Put the tire back on, and Bob's your uncle.
Back again. So that's it. You tighten the nuts. One here, and then you go to this one. And then you go to this one. Then from here you go to this one, and you don't want to tighten them too crazy, because years ago I went and put grease on these nuts when I didn't know anything about cars. I was a teenager, and my mechanics said, gee, I think there's oil leaking from a seal in here somewhere. I said, why? He says, well, there's grease all over these things, or oil. I said, no, I greased those up so they'd go on easier. He said, oh no, you don't want to do that. He was a really good mechanic. So never put grease on these nuts.
A good wrench like this will take it off. You can get smaller ones than this, but this is a good one. I actually took this one from my van, and gets a bigger tires. So this one I have a smaller wrench that's for this one. It looks exactly the same. This oil is smaller. So that's all you do, and then you just tighten them up, and that also. And these are all not all season. These are all weather tires. So you can get snow tires, all season tires, and then regular tires. I don't like all season. They were all season when I bought this car, and they wore out in 30,000 kilometers. Something like that, 35. Anyway, they weren't very good. And so I got these after about 2.5 years of running the other ones, and these ones are beauty. You can run them in all year round. And they're supposed to be guaranteed for 100,000 kilometers, so that's like 60,000 miles. And they weren't that expensive. They were around $200 installed. So 4 tires, it's $800, but it's a good investment, and you don't have to keep changing your tires. And they have a really nice tread on them. I love the tread. And I had a pothole a few months back in December. It's now April, start of April. But the insurance company I'm with, they have a pothole insurance. You don't pay anything. You just send them a picture of the tire, and if it's in really good shape like mine was, I got a bulge on the side of my tire from the pothole, and I actually bent my rim a bit, but it's not that bad. And if I wanted to get a new rim, I would have to pay a deductible of about $300 because the rim was worth about $600-700. So that's what I'm suggesting. You buy these all-weather tires and stay away from potholes. So please subscribe and like, and we'll talk to you again in the next video. Okay, bye-bye. Please subscribe here.